a Shih Tzu. Told me pain is how you gain, how the whole world not against you. Cause everything you touch, you colonize. I ain't fucking with those dollar signs. But a heavy heart with a hollow mind. Pass me the torch, I go Columbine. Universe said it's our time. Line says while I'm blowing haze. That's how we empower minds. COINTEL trying to have a snitching. Trying to know all about the mission. But it's death before we drop a dime. I'm on that shit too.
Same shit, different day, na 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 na. Same shit, different day, na na na.
I'm on that shit too.
Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day.
I'm on that shit too.
Same shit, different day, na 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 na. Same shit, different day, na na na.
I'm on that shit too.
Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day.
I guess the D's on that shit too, cause black people dying, it's not an issue. It's never a problem to them, cause they don't want that shot, that pistol. It's a missile, cause when you kill one, that shit ripples. They don't understand the shit that we already been through. It went from slavery to being someone free. Now all they doing is modifying shit into modern day slavery. It's all a scheme. I remember Martin had a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out its highest dream. That's what I believe. But it's 2018 and all I fucking see is our people locked up physically and mentally. That's Donald dreams. And every day I pray that somebody I love don't end up 6 feet under me. So I guess I'm on that shit too.
Same shit, different day, na 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 na. Same shit, different day, na na na.
I'm on that shit too.
Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day.
I'm on that shit too.
Same shit, different day, na 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 na. Same shit, different day, na na na.
I'm on that shit too.
Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day.
I'm on that shit too. Residing places other people going through shit too. Where grandma, uncle, sister, cousins flip that brick too. Or maybe have to cause the will survive is sick too. Plague of the 80s, mama even smoked that shit too. Had all her life to heal from, I know she ain't meant to. A 5% a queen with 4 kids paying rent too. Ride for your rollie while you riding in your rent too. Just so those babies could get checkers for they dent too. This street shit meant to. Cause nobody out here in these streets to defend you. Cause the whole world been on that shit to infuse you with that sick news. Playing with this sick blues, cause I've been on that shit too.
Same shit, different day, na 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 na. Same shit, different day, na na na.
I'm on that shit too.
Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day.
I'm on that shit too.
Same shit, different day, na 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 na. Same shit, different day, na na na.
I'm on that shit too.
Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day.
Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. Na 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 na.
Peace, peace, peace. I'll give my eye power to you all. Free the land, free the land, free all our political prisoners. Share, 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 share the live, share the live. Share, share, share the live, share the live. Free, 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 free all our political prisoners. Free the land, free the land, free the land. Welcome to the web series, H.O.L.La's web series. This is our final episode of this 5-part web series. Please check out our our Facebook channel. You can see the previous 4. Please check out our YouTube channel. You can also see the previous 4. We done talked about Curve Fest and political prisoners. We done talk about restorative justice, co-optation of the non-traditional approach. We got the legacy joining. We got Jasiri Blackguard in the building. We done talked about Saruj and Ma'at in the movement. We done talked about the fight for community space and ethnic cleansing and the displacement of our communities. And we're gonna close off talking about, an institution that H.O.L.A is very proud to be a part of growing, and very proud of being a part of the legacy that come from this institution, and that's the Kibaka, Alice, and Luqmon Institution of Non-Traditional Approaches to Human and Healing Justice.
Ashe. Thank y'all for being here. We locked in and and, and ready to go.
In the spirit of, H.O.L.A, we stand on 4 concepts in the non-traditional approach to human and healing justice. African sacred science, talking about our understanding of scientific observation as African people through our lineages over the last 3 million years. Talking about how our cosmology and how that African sacred science have been attacked. We call that the African Mayafa. And the sustained attack against our communities is part of that African Mayafa. And we also talk about the grassroots movements that have fought back against that. We theorize that within the non-traditional approach. And we also theorize that within the practice of healing justice. And in the spirit of African sacred science and thinking about, conversations that are important, conversations that are intended to take us to a higher level, intended to be serious, we often invite our ancestors into the room. We often, center the invisible energy for that nature to be with us. So we're gonna start off with a libation, and then we're gonna get right into this conversation. This is for the ancestors. This is for the ancestors. We said, this is for your ancestors. We said, this is for our ancestors, particularly the ones that stand with us and plan with us. We talking about a pedagogy of patience. They still waiting for your transformation and for you to heal from all the still waving and generation after generation of living out your own plantation. We said, this is for our ancestors, particularly the ones that get killed for us, sacrifice and build for us. We talking about indigeneity without no regulation. Culture is our education. Emotional communication. Vulnerability is what we embrace, and we said this is for our ancestors, particularly the ones that love you when they don't got to, but love you because they got you. This is for the ancestors, particularly the ones that stand with us and plan with us. We talking about a pedagogy of patience. They still waiting for our transformation and for us to heal from all the still waving and generation after generation.
We could go into some updates. As always, we want to, thank big up to our brother, Isaac, who, also is a artist, creative artist, doing a lot of work with videography, photography, visual art. So I want to shout out to Isaac Quarterly, and hoping that other community folks here could work with our brother. He does incredible work, and we want to continue to support each other. He's been supporting us within our webinars, holding down everything we don't see. So everything we don't see, our brother supports with, setting us up on the streaming from Facebook to YouTube and everything. He also supports us in doing videography at our events, and capturing great sound and great moments, and that's really needed. So we really appreciate that. And right now we're also doing a lot of work with him right now, about to do a book. So he's supporting us in that process, and as well as about to make an album. So we're also working with him within that. So shout out to Isaac Quarterly, and I'm hoping a lot of folks, get involved and reach out to our brother for other works that y'all want to connect and create possibilities around. Also, we just released, shout out to Reverend Joy Powell, free Reverend Joy Powell. Us and H.O.L.L.A are supporting Reverend Joy Powell's campaign. So there's going to be a lot more updates around that, around supporting her clemency. As y'all probably already know, Reverend Joy Powell connected us to a lot of the women on the inside. And because of that, the women asked us to send out a press release, right? So us and the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition, who's working together, has put out a press release. You can find it on H.O.L.L.A's website, healwithholla.com. Black women abused and assaulted at Bedford Hills Correctional Facility. We have a call to action. We ask folks to repost the press release and spread the information about what's occurring at Bedford Hills Correctional Facility everywhere you can. And we ask folks to support H.O.L.L.A and the Northeast Political Prisoner Coalition in furthering, investigating, and covering this developing story. So sending love to the Bedford Hill Sisters, and to keep strong as we keep fighting off state violence, and we with you. Another update from another one of our former political prisoners, but also was a leading member of the New York Black Panther Party chapter, Baba Daruba Ben Wahad. Our Baba is in need of support, right? Medical needs, financially, and for housing and travel. So we have a GoFundMe. Well, we don't have a GoFundMe. He has a GoFundMe, and we ask folks to, share the love, support our Baba, and spare some dollars, and share this also with people that so we could continue to support Baba Daruba Ben Wahad. And for those who are not key on political prisoners here in America, we do have political prisoners here in America who are still continuously fighting back against state violence, right? So we ask our folks to, use that technology that you have. Google it, talk to your families, talk to your friends, talk to, your children around, why are there political prisoners in America, and research on, what they did and who they are, and what kind of work they've done. So, we want to say free them all, Free Mumia Abu Jamal.
Free them all.
4. Free Abdullah Malik Kabar.
Free them all.
Altair. Free Kamal Siddiqui.
Free
Free
them all.
Mani Sababu. Free Amim Jamil Abdullah Al Amin.
Free them all.
Powell.
Free
Free
them all.
Mid Burton. Free Joseph Bowen. Free Ronald Reed. Free Kwame Bean Shakur. Free Kevin Rashid Johnson. Free Abdul Aziz. Free Hakeem Malik Abdullah. Free Oso Blanco. Free Bill Dooney. Free Hani Shabazz Bay. Free Alvaro Luna Hernandez. Free Larry Hoover. Free Eric King. Free them all. Free them all.
Free them all. Free them all. Free them all. We're going to do a quick intro, man. I'm Corey, one of the organizers with H.O.L.L.A. Shout out to Mississippi, man. Shout out to Queens. I'm formerly incarcerated, and I was brought into the legacy while I was in prison. Coming from the streets, and ran into the Resurrection Study Group, into Blackguard, and I pass it to Blackguard and Jasiri to give a quick intro.
You on mute, God.
Blackguard, part of the legacy, free them all, free all Black liberation prisoners immediately. Part of Resurrection Study Group under the leadership of Eddie Ellis. Just good to be here, man. I'll pass the mic.
Ashe. The series for Holly, Kiyama. I came through the legacy, through state violence, going through state violence, caught 7 to 8 years of probation, was on Rikers for a little, and then I was able to get a YO. And that's how I got connected to the Center for New Leadership on Urban Solutions, which was the organization that Eddie Ellis formed and founded. That's how I, through, connected with KJ Chino, I got connected to Corey, to A-Rocks, and, I was in the first cohort of the 24-month process in the legacy curriculum in H.O.L.L.A. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. I got a lot of family from South Carolina, North Carolina, Mississippi, Honduras, Belize, Grenada. We Black, Native Americans, we Africans, Pan-African, Ashe.
Ashe. Shout out to the legacy. Shout out to YOC. Shout out to our families, all of the H.O.L.L.A people. We here. We're going to jump right into it, man. Today's conversation, the meat of it is talking about, everybody say it with us, the Kibaka, Alice, and Luqmon Institution of Non-Traditional Approaches to Human and Healing Justice. Shout out to Kibaka, which some people call Eddie Ellis. Shout out to Alice, who a lot of people call Dr. Alice P. Green. Shout out to Luqmon, who many people call Larry White, for imparting this legacy upon us and giving us the responsibility and the instructions that came from their elders and their ancestors and their wisdom to move from liabilities to be assets to our families and to our communities. And this institution is, our gratitude for that imparting. This institution that we are growing, that we are developing with Eddie or Kibaka, Dr. Green, Luqmon, right? The Resurrection Study Group, the Bedford Hill Sisters, H.O.L.L.A, is something outside of H.O.L.L.A. Even though H.O.L.L.A is a part of growing it, this is something that's bigger than our single mission, right? And something that's bigger than us as individuals, that we see that we want to provide for our local community, for community power and community empowerment, right? This is something separate from our institution to give back to the legacy that gave back so much to us, particularly the neighborhoods that we came from and the teachings that come from our neighborhoods. So we're going to talk to you all about, why this institution is being developed and the importance of this institution, and that this institution is situated, with our ancestors guiding us and journeying with us. So shout out to that libation, because, this is for our ancestors. Anything y'all want to add to some of that spirit about, just why we created the Kibaka Institute?
I think, as you said, this legacy was embarked on us, and from our last webinar, Suruj Ma'at, which folks should watch that. From our last webinar, we, had our sincere apology, about, not following the legacy, not following the learned lessons. And I think, we see the repercussions of that. And yeah, this is a new step into honoring our learned lessons and legacy, and pivoting still as we fight war. I think, yeah. And also, this is also bringing in the legacy too. I think we was talking about a lot of that too, just bringing in the legacy and making sure there's pipelines of possibility that is sustained. Yep.
And this is going to be our, and it's more than this, but it's our hood institution of higher learning. It's going to be, the Kemet of the hood, the Harvard of the hood, right? This institution is the Kibaka, Alice, and Luqmon institution pulling on, the scholarship, the experience, right? The reflections, the legacy of the civil rights movement, right? The Black liberation movement, the Puerto Rican independence movement, right? The impact of the state responding to that led to the development of the 1970 prison rights movement, after COINTEL and the government pushed us in prison for building these kind of liberation movements, right? And the wisdom that comes from Black communities that's been under war and under attack from the criminal punishment system. All of those wisdoms, that science over the last 60 years that H.O.L.L.A has been a part of, that Pan-African grassroots knowledge. We want to be able to provide that to community-based organizations, to any professional institution, so-called serving 7 neighborhoods, right? And to be able to not just theoretically and empirically give them guidance and instructions on the best outcomes for our communities, but also to support individual leaders and organizers with the resurrection process that come with the NTA, right? And the cadre process, right? And to develop a movement so that we're working to attack institutional racism, to dismiss, using our own power structure of institutions to respond to how these institutions in our neighborhood and our relationship to these institutions, the educational system, the healthcare system. When we look through our non-traditional analysis, the impact of these institutions on our community have been horrendous over the last 30, 40, 50 years. And we need other institutions to respond to that. We need individuals to resurrect, so that we have a collective movement responding to that. You know, like I said, this is an institution that is a working class institution that's, you know, responding to a capitalist structure and moving and organizing within a capitalist structure. And part of that structure is to try to remove these capitalist institutional structures that actually are not designed by community, right? And by using an institution like this and building organizers and trainings within other institutions, right? We're also trying to create a model that other grassroots organizations can implement. And we could talk more with people about our grassroots budget and spending model, how, you know, 50% of all of our resources go right back to the organization. Another 25% of the resources go to survival and decolonizing programs that are to serve our communities and build with our communities. And another 25% go to the administration and the organizers leading all of the work, right? How we do institutions that sustain the institution, but also develop survival and decolonizing programs in the direct neighborhoods that where we come from, right? Right. So we could talk more about that. I'll pass it to Jasiri or Blackguard if y'all want to add anything else, just letting people know some of the theoretical and legacy and some of the work that this institution is going to be trying to do in our community. Nine. Y'all feeling that? How y'all feeling that?
No, I was trying to see if Blackguard was jumping in.
All right.
No, as you know, and this is critical because, you know, we just trying to make pivots and possibilities, and we see that, you know, program pacification is happening, co-optation is happening, and, you know, we are trying to, and also just understanding, you know, in the non-for-profit industrial complex, you know, people are being developed in a certain way. Right. And this is what Corey's getting at when we talking about the trainings and being rooted in a praxis of you know, where, you know, education for liberation. You understand? Being rooted in a praxis of being anti-capitalistic, anti-colonialism, right? And, you know, having that type of mindset and worldview and also having the ability to be people, right? Yes. So I think that's very important because we're trying to build we're trying to build people to have a, you know, a combative mindset, you know, a revolutionary mindset, and also have a community specific mindset on how they are a part of they have a responsibility to their community, right? And so, you know, those are the pieces that we're trying to play in this, in, you know, to develop organizers that, you know, can effectively make community specific change.
Now, I echo that, man. I think that's part of the reason. That's a good point you highlighted that, because that's part of the reason why it was important to develop the Kibaka, Alice, and Luqmon Institute is because the non-traditional approach, we just wrote an article, has been under attack. People have been stealing, revising, re-theorizing, name dropping here and there when you need the name drop, but not really carrying on the work, and actually has been damaging the work. And this has been going on since the 1970s, and it's the strategy of the NTA has been going on since the 1970s, and it has been under attack pretty much since it started. Y'all should definitely go read our article, a case study on restorative justice co-optation of the non-traditional approach. We also got a book coming out on a non-traditional approach, over 60 years of the non-traditional approach and moving forward. And we're gonna have a chapter in there talking about the long, protracted attack and to the NTA. But there's a scientific attack that's been going on. But other parts of it is just people using Eddie name, using Larry name, using Dr. Green name, but not really carrying their works forward. Not really carrying their programs forward. Not really connected to their families and holding their families down. Not really building the next generation like they did, right? So that's another reason why we created the institution, so that we could continue having that legacy passed down. Some of the co-optation and the taxes within the reentry system. In our article, we named Jeremy Travis, John Jay, and the many programs from the $1 Million Block, all of these reentry programs that still the non-traditional analysis, re-theorize it in a European way, take us out of our community-specific programs, give us traditional programs, right? And these are the same people that pushed Eddie and Larry out of the leadership. Even our non-traditional leaders, our elders, before they transitioned, they was pushed out of the leadership within the reentry and criminal justice field, and they was hiring new leadership that didn't come from the direct lineage and analysis of non-traditional approach. So that's another reason why, the institution was calling for us to develop something that reminded people, how we all got started. Like Jay-Z said, take it back to when you first got signed. We talking about hope. We're not just talking about dates and facts and getting a job and getting a career. This is our life. This is people that was trying to help us understand our predicament and help us understand that we was a colony within a colony, and that we was prisoners of war, and that you could either participate in your oppression or you a victim in your oppression, what you want to do about it, right? And that helped change our life. That helped get H.O.L.L.A here and many people here. We also see the co-optation and the alternative justice framework, or many people call restorative justice, which erases the non-traditional approach, and then it built all of these alternative justice models that separate the Black liberation tradition from the origin story. And then these alternative programs that originally steal from the Resurrection 5 R's, that steal from the circle and the historical perspective from the non-traditional approach, they're offered back to us today in 2024, 2015, 2022, but they don't got no Eddie Ellis. They don't got the Long Attica Revolt. They don't got our community-specific programs. They just look like circles, but they don't give us the same full analysis, and it erases the kind of hope and the kind of ecology of the civil rights movement, the Black liberation movement, the Puerto Rican independence movement, as well as the attack that pushed us into prison, that developed the interpretive framework from the first go. So it kind of props the picture. And then, once again, it separated Eddie and Larry and many of our community leaders, our Darubas. Shout out to Daruba, because when we talking about this analysis. This is not just Eddie and Larry and Dr. Alice Green. This is all of our political prisoners analysis, right? It's the Black Liberation Movement analysis. It separate our elders from the conversation and then hire other people to talk about alternative to justice frameworks when we have our elders and strategies that we've been using that developed this model, but over time, the state has used program pacification, have used counterinsurgency tactics, have used white man science to separate our elders' programs from our community experiences and have hired new people to kind of give us programs. We also see that within the care violence movement. And some people within the care violence movement using the human justice within that framework, once again, these things were developed by political prisoners. So all of these frameworks, reentry, restorative justice, human justice, care violence, at the center of those things, we should be supporting political prisoners. We should be supporting community-specific works. We should be using programs to respond to institutional racism and should be tackling institutional racism. We should be using our individual organizations to build community empowerment within the 7 neighborhoods that are most impacted by the war. I want to just say that these are some of the reasons why we developed the Kibaka Alice and Luqmon Institute with the wisdom and the leadership of our elders and our ancestors. And we also want to say that we upgraded the analysis from criminal justice and social justice to human justice and healing justice because of the co-optation, because of the program pacification, and because we want to be able to explain how movements get stolen and how we have to constantly update the movement and stay connected to a vibrant legacy of institutional memory so you could be able to see how your movement is being stolen and you can know how to add to your movement, right? So by us updating it to human and healing justice, it gives us room and space to be able to talk about why we needed to update it and the importance of needing to update it. Before I go on to giving a little bit about what human justice is and why we move from criminal justice to human justice, I just want to see if Black Guard or Jasiri want to say anything about why we updated the analysis and why this institution is a part of that updated analysis based on what we're seeing with program pacification and co-optation and counterinsurgency warfare tactics led by the state, led by the nonprofit industrial complex, and a lot of times led by our own community, whether they know that they are doing it or they actively participating in it.
Resurrection.
Resurrect.
We saying some big things here, and I really hope that our audience understand that, you know, coming from a historical perspective, that these institutions don't work for us. You know, the education system was never built for us, and that we have to start taking control of the institutions that teach our children. Francis Cress Welsing said, our children are our most valuable resource. They will either kill us from within or from without if we don't start paying attention. And I think the Kibaka Alice Luqmon Institute is an answer to that, because we have to start understanding that we have to take the power of education, the power of public education, of PE, and instill it in our children. And the world has to see, and I say the world because wherever you see Black people, you'll see Black people oppressed, and you'll see them oppressed by the institutions that are mainly made up of European white supremacy ideologies that create these institutions to teach our children to kill themselves, to teach our children to not respect their history, to teach our children to disrespect their parents and their legacies. This is a legacy movement right here. This is a Kibaka, Alice, and Luqmon is a legacy movement that, uprooted within the new prison movement. This is out of struggle. This is out of bloodshed and tears, but all about ancestors and Wilson, Francis Quest Wilson. These are our psychologists. These are the people that really dived into the history of Black people and began. Even we could add Joy Leary in there. Dive into the psychological development of Black people, and we got to add Naeem Akbar too. And they began to see how the institution of education has steered us wrong. You know what I'm saying? We don't even sit down at the kitchen table and eat dinner together no more. And this is because of these education systems. So just to add, this is the importance of creating an institution that could teach our children from our history, but not only from our history, but from a analysis, from a perspective, so that they'll be empowered to go into society and know what's up against them and not be tricked and co-opted. And I pass because I see Jasiri thinking like I'm Jasiri getting ready to give y'all some business right now. So get ready. I'll pass the mic to Jasiri.
Nah, I say. Two things or a few things. One, as we said, this is also to pay homage to the ancestors. We have a responsibility to our community. Who are we to, act or mention, like Corey say, act or mention the great the great accomplishments that our ancestors have done and not complete them and finish them, right? That's like so wrong. That's so wrong. That's like going ahead, saying how great your mother does, and you destroy her house all the time, right? Be like, I love my mother. She cooks and all that, and all the time you never wash dishes. You never do nothing for her. That's what that is, right? So we have a responsibility, and what is deep is that what's a part of this new development in us taking on the non-traditional approach to criminal and social justice, transforming into human and healing justice, is because the work that Eddie and the brothers, the Greenhaven Think Tank, the Record Study Group, and Prison Action Committee, the work that they was doing was on the inside, right? And it was with the new equation, right? But that work needed to happen on the outside. It's the continuation, right? And that's a part of the program pacification co-optation, where when we got political prisoners who can't come home, who are doing the greatest works on the inside, and when elders do come home, they do not have the space, the resources to effectively be the assets that they are trying to be in their community. Because being in the belly of the beast behind the wall is a different situation, right? So they was able to organize in that type of aspect, right? And does not mean they was already organizing before they came to prison. But they had to transform again. And because of how COINTELPRO is and the counterinsurgency is, they spent mad time in prison. And so by the time they came home, you understand, the state have already put in place many type of things to take away our hope and spirit, and set back certain people's works. And one of the things we heard from, Kibaka was that, you know, Eddie and Larry, their real work was to, you know, pass on this knowledge to the young people. So when they came home, they can effectively be access to their community. We got hundreds of thousands of non-for-profits, and we still ain't got no reparations. So I don't know, what does that tell you? Somewhere in our work, things are not working effectively. Somewhere it is not being community specific. Somewhere there's co-optation. Somewhere there is slowing down the movement. Right? You know, yeah, I'm gonna pass because we got some more to say. No, thank you.
So yeah, no, that's good. Snap it up for that. And that's why we got the Kibaka, Alice, and Luqmon Institute, because we had to struggle against that co-optation. We had to struggle to bring resurrection to our neighborhoods and try to, you know, some of this is a gift from our legacy. I don't know how we not using our skills. And we want to talk more about, you know, why this institution is really important, and we want people to push this institution and really get behind it. Shout out to the Center for New Leadership on Urban Solutions. Eddie Ellis co-founded this. Shout out to, you know, KJ, Chino, Doc, you know, everybody that, you know, Jasiri, myself, all of us who are at the center, Rakim, Brittany, you know, shout out to all of us. The center, you know, under the leadership of Eddie, wrote an article, and when we started seeing the co-optation titled Human Justice, Healing the Damages of American Punishment System, right? And we seen, to Jasiri point and to Black Guard point, we understood that all these institutions are built in a historical relationship coming from colonization, chattel enslavement, and then, you know, convict leasing and so on, the Dred Scott case. And we, from our African eyes, when we apply that to these systems, we see a historical relationship that's been about violence, that's been unequal, right? And that has impacted our development. And in some part of the conversation of reentry and stuff, and still in our non-traditional approach, people have forgot that, yo, we need to heal from this history of this punishment system, the damage on our neighborhoods, Black Wall Street, our relationships. You know, Millie Phililove talk about root shock, uprooting us. You know, we talk about how many prisons was built in New York from 74 to 2000, how they was using us as tax write-offs upstate. It's like a lot of stuff that, you know, hurts us. And we trying to say, besides the policy, besides us getting at the policy table, all of those changes that we've been earning and fighting and dying for, there needs to be a reconciliation with the wounds of the damage that this American punishment system has done. So it challenges the reentry, the social justice paradigm, and the criminal justice paradigm, their flight from that conversation and from that work and from that resurrection work, right? And it pushes towards a true paradigm of justice, not one from criminal justice, but one about human justice. Come on, one about healing our communities, fighting the war. And it's an outcome-driven philosophy. It's, you know, it's about holding the state accountable. It's about deconstructing and dismantling the state piece by piece. It's it's only working with the state if the state is about resurrection, about being transparent, about showing how you are accountable to this historical record of you attacking our Black community, our Black mothers, our Black youth, from convict leasing to COINTELPRO to super predators. It's legacies of you calling us names, calling us wanted, calling us terrorists, and then you put a system that attack our communities, right? So
So how
Human
can
justice
the
was saying,
Kibaka,
don't just do reentry, don't just give us services, don't just put us at the policy table, don't just say formerly incarcerated people should be leaders. We want you to address and understand how our communities and how our families haven't been able to resurrect and heal because there hasn't been addressed to those kind of wounds from the punishment system. Jump in, Black Guard.
nah, because you hit some good points, and that's what the institute is about. So how can the institute? How is the institute going to educate people about that? Like, how we do that?
Well, part of what human justice is saying with that is that, our work has to be about, human development. But that human development has to come within an empirical, a scholarly, a experiential, a community-specific understanding of what are the things that have been stopping the human development. And that human development is not isolated from family development and community development, that many of the same institutional factors that stop the human development because our family development and community development is also being attacked by institutional racism, right? So we got to develop programs from our own community experiences that come from the lessons and the sciences of our people. That's why we're talking about Daruba and Eddie Ellis and the Kibaka and Luqmon Institute. And that's why we're talking about we can't let program pacification take us off track, right? And take us to doing service-based programs, but that don't really teach us how to build with our moms and how to build with our young people, right? And how to build with our families. Yeah, we become good career people, but we still, as leaders in our organization, me including myself, a lot of us can't translate that to our family healing. A lot of us can't translate that to healing with our children, healing with the neighborhoods that we came up from. Yeah, we became good career people, right? And that's what program pacification do. It move our leadership into some career, into some white business structure, and really the healing needs to happen in our communities where the war took place at, in our families where the war took place at. Jasiri, I'm coming to you right now. What I want to say before coming to you is that human justice, in its articulation, shout out to the Center for New Leadership, was to apply that human development analysis, human rights analysis, right, to the prison industrial complex, to the war that the prison system is giving us, right? And to apply that at 3 levels. So we need the state and the system to be accountable. So we working with them in a human justice framework, not as they friends. Yeah, we cordial. Yeah, we respectful. Yeah, we might move in a traditional business structure, a white man structure, to know how to dialogue with them, but it's to hold them accountability, for them to be transparent, right? For us to tell them what we think their best practices should be to relate to us, right? And to uphold a system of accountability so that they don't keep replicating the historical relationship that they have with our community. That's what human justice is telling us, to build relationships with the institutions and with these systems, so that we study the fact pattern that these institutions have with our community, and we make sure that we don't continue the fact pattern. If that's the educational institution, we can't keep doing miseducation. We can't keep doing what Carter G. Woodson say, that these schools are miseducated. We got a fact pattern. So we need our own institutions to be like, all right, Department of Education, let's make sure you're not following these fact patterns of war. The criminal justice system, Dred Scott, convict leasing, slavery. Y'all got a fact pattern. Let's make sure you're not following these fact patterns when you're in dealing with our community. That's why we want to hold these systems accountable. Secondly, while we doing that, we want to have resurrection processes for individual resurrection, because these programs have colonized us. They have traumatized us. They have re-socialized us. And then lastly, we need those system accountability programs and those individual resurrection programs to be working at the community level to do community empowerment. That's what human justice was asking us to do and still asking us to do. And that's coalition building. And I close by Pastor Jasiri before going to human justice to add into, before going to healing justice. What it's asking us to do also is that this is a spiritual process. When you add all of that up, you know, that's a good analysis. You know, system accountability, individual resurrection, and community empowerment, you know, from this historical perspective of how the system have caused wounds to our communities, right? And then what that really boils down to is a spiritual analysis, right? And what human justice asks us to do is go back to our spirituality, right? To have faith, to have some spirit in our work, you know, that the concurrent work that we do in our organizations, in our family, to heal from historical trauma, to take on these big institutions, to develop an institution out of nowhere, like the Kibaka, Alice, and Luqmon institution. You gotta have spirit, you gotta have invisible energy. You gotta have permission from the ancestors. And you gotta know how to cultivate that ancestor energy as pedagogy within our non-traditional programs and within our non-traditional practices. And that's what gets us to healing justice. And I slow down right there and see if Jasiri want to add anything before we go to healing justice. So when we go into healing justice and we encompassing human justice, understanding the healing from the American punishment system, and we need a spiritual journey to accompany fighting against crime-generative factors and crime-generative attitudes. How do you get the hate out your body? How do you watch our documentary. Some of us said, because we grew up in foster care systems, because the system was separating, crack cocaine was separating. By the time we was 15, 16, we didn't have no relationship with our mothers. So our relationships were not strong. How do we heal families, communities that have been impacted by the system, with now mothers and sons and daughters and mothers in neighborhoods and blocks, Puerto Rican and Black people, Jamaican and Dominican people? We don't even build with each other no more. That ain't a service program right there, right? Right? So we got to really think about, you know, how do we develop healing justice resurrection processes from our science that know how to penetrate our communities, our families, our individual resurrection, so that we get the trauma, the stress, the attitudes out of our bodies, and understanding that is not this Zoom, that is not this webinar. You can't curriculum your way out of that. How do you develop the African rites of passages? How you develop the rituals, the ceremonies at different levels, individual, community, intersections, men and women, circles just for women, circles just for youth, elder circles, bringing it together, our Puerto Rican Blackness, our Dominican Blackness, our Mississippi Blackness, right? Mixing it with our Black liberation pedagogy, understanding some of us are Christian, some of us are Islam, right? How do we censor a Pan-African analysis within the spiritual stuff, understanding that no matter what fraction or what is our ideology as Black people, we got a responsibility to Black people, right? How do we encapsulate that back into our spirits when the war and historical trauma and institutions that have been planted in our neighborhoods since the 30s, since the 40s, since the 50s are constantly moving us away from that? That's what the Kibaka and Alice and Luqmon institution is not only trying to do as an institution, we're trying to build with other institutions to develop more institutions within our neighborhoods like that. And I close by saying, and I pass it to Siri or Black Guard to say, that's the updated analysis from criminal justice to social justice, right? We went from now we human justice to healing justice. And these are some of the reasons why that updated analysis was needed. Black Guard, you want to touch? You want to throw some more ice in, some more sprinkles on some of that wisdom?
So, why it was needed? The
No. Just
importance
any,
of
not really why it's needed, but anything you want to add to
Yeah,
that
I just want
updated
to
analysis.
add, like, I don't want, our audience, and we might have a focused audience, just to think that, Eddie, Alice, and Luqmon was just, some people in the movement. You know what I'm saying? Because you got people in the movement, and then you got people that make the movement and shape the movement. And I think that everybody got to understand that Eddie, Alice, and Luqmon was like phenomenal in understanding holistically what our children need. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't just about analysis or nothing. It was like, yo, what the children need to keep the legacy going and to stand on some type of foundation, and struggle and understanding that this is going to be a continuous fight. All of them had that in them. All of them focused on youth. You know what I'm saying? All of them developed youth specific programs. You know what I'm saying? Because they understood the need to educate our youth from a Black liberation perspective, but also have the knowledge to shoot back when these Europeans try to give them these antiquated programs and things that wasn't going to address their Pacific crime generative attitudes. So I just want to give a shout out to Eddie, Alice, and Kibaka. I'll pass on that.
So we about to wrap up, man. We just want to give a quick overview of what some of the things that are coming with the launch of the institution. We want folks to ask questions, hit us up. Once again, this institution is being developed by H.O.L.L.A with the support of our ancestors, the Resurrection Study Group, the Greenhaven Think Tank, Eddie and Larry's family, and the Center for New Leadership. But it's bigger than H.O.L.L.A. It's outside of H.O.L.L.A. So far, the Kibaka Institute have already launched programs memorializing. This is also memorializing this institution is about memorializing our elders and our ancestors. And we naming it Kibaka, Allison, Luqmon, but it's about Judy Clark, it's about Kathy Boudin, it's about Baba Sekou Odinga, it's about Assata Shakur, it's about H. Rap Brown, it's about Jalil Monteking, right? It's about all of our political prisoners, all of our grassroots elders, Mama Bibi, Baba Jose, right? It's about the elders and the legacies of our movement, right? And it's about memorializing them. So we already started having annual rituals and celebrations memorializing the 1970 prison rights movement. We had a second one this year. Next year will be our third annual 1970 prison rights movement. We're looking to start making statues and monuments of our elders, Baba Sekou Odinga, Eddie Ellis, right, in front of our buildings, right? Memorializing our elders. We have worked with Eddie's family and started working to memorialize Eddie and get a street named after him where he grew up at, right? And we are working to develop an Eddie Ellis non-traditional approach curriculum that could go in the school right next to where Eddie developed at in all the schools throughout New York City. This is the Kibaka, Alice, and Luqmon Institute. Next, there's about 5 programs. So that memorializing is one. The second one is the non-traditional approach to human and healing justice. The analysis that was developed by the Greenhaven think tank that was later revised by the Resurrection Study Group in the 90s, and now that's revised again by H.O.L.L.A and the Resurrection Study Group in the 2000s, right? And we implementing the most important, potent doses of that NTA training, trying to reassert it back into our communities, reasserting it back into the institutions. The second training and program we're gonna have is the African roots of healing justice. Some people talk about healing justice. Very rarely are people talking about the ancient African roots of healing justice, tying into the lineages of healing of African people who've been doing healing justice 1 million years ago, 200,000 years ago, to Assata Shakur, to the work that H.O.L.L.A is doing, the work that Kara Page and them is doing. Sorry. We're going to have 2 more programs. Another program is African-centered participatory action research, teaching people how to do movement-based research from an African-centered lens, studying the Black Panthers, studying the Young Lords, studying Kemet, studying how African people use community science, community inquiry, to make real decisions about their life, to make real decisions about movement, to develop a community perspective. How do you develop scientific processes to develop a community perspective to respond to the war from an African-centered perspective? That's not just developing individual analysis, but that's developing systematic community analysis to develop systematic community perspectives to take on developing civilization or responses to the war. And lastly, we are developing our own museum, which is going to have a lot of exhibits, and also our own independent African school in it. Right? So we developing a museum center that's about H.O.L.L.A's Black Liberation Museum of Revolutionary Consciousness and Grassroots Resistance. And the dream is to have, a whole block, a whole, a whole mini blocks with theaters, sound, conference rooms, places for children to gather, playpens, but important exhibits, high-tech exhibits of the non-traditional approach, the Black Native Americans, the American Maroons, the Black Liberation Army, the Kandakes, and talking about the revolutionary conscious and the science within those movements, and to learn lessons and the strategies within those movements that are useful for us today. Not just naming those movements, but having those exhibits break down their tactics and their science and their learned lessons. But within that museum, we want it to be an educational center, right? Where elders and people from all over the African world could come there and have conferences, come there and have think tanks, and have study sessions, present their new ideas. And we also gonna have our own independent African school within this institution where we can start training young people from the 7 neighborhoods in this kind of cultural education, so they don't have to go to traditional schools no more. So that's the programs within the Kibaka Institute. The non-traditional approach training, the healing justice training, the participatory action research training, those are all trainings that we are sharing with the community to really give to other institutions, other academic institutions, large professional institutions, that are situated different than our grassroots H.O.L.L.A institution. right? So we developed this institution to serve, to attack traditional institutions that are classed, that have class resources, and we are giving them grassroots teachings at a capitalistic price so that we could get resources to serve our survival and decolonizing program. And to give these traditional institutions real educations and to try to resurrect these traditional institutions and the individuals in these traditional institutions who shouldn't be doing restorative justice on our communities, that are not addressing the real issues of the scientific analysis that elders from our communities have been telling, the restorative justice, social work, psychology, and all these other traditional frameworks to address. So that was long, but any feedback on some of the trainings and the programs that the institution is going to be offering to the community, and going to be serving the community with, and any thoughts on how people can engage and think about these trainings too.
Yeah, these y'all better just get these trainings. Y'all should definitely get these trainings. And as we said earlier, this is, really to, in many levels, we trying to combat counterinsurgency. This is, we are, a drop in the long, liberation struggle. So we trying to make this drop count, trying to make sure our drop count. And, a part of counterinsurgency is the taking of our minds, the capturing of our minds, and the capturing of our spirits. And so, it's important that we're doing this to, decolonize. We're doing this to, to develop people in a revolutionary mindset, in a mindset that is not traditional, that is non-traditional, that is not one size fits all, that does not believe that 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 does not believe that you are the cause or the only reason for social crime, right? And that you should be in prison. And that, these not only systems, but this is rooted in a whole historical understanding of white supremacy, patriarchy, and capitalism, which all together sums up imperialism. Right. So this is we hope folks to get the training and to affect people's minds and to transform people's spirits, as well as to create new possibilities. As we said, we're trying to create pipelines where we could set our young people up to be assets in their community, which the public school system and the criminal punishment system does not do. Right, all these institutions are not developing our young people into assets, and we, as Corey said, this is also to hold the system accountable with clear transparency, and to that that means to organize, that means to agitate, and that means to yeah, so I pass.
Well, we're gonna start wrapping up, man. I think we want to give some thoughts about and some heads ups about what's coming next for the launch. So we're gonna launch, you know, the Kibaka, Luqmon, and Alice Institution in 2025. Um, we hoping to share the website for Kwanzaa. Look out for Kwanzaa, the website, and a lot of flyers and posters about, how people could sign up for trainings later on in the year and how people could pre-sign up so people could start pre-booking NTA trainings, healing justice trainings, participatory action research trainings, and start lining that up. We are not sure all the way when the institution is going to launch. We're going to be giving more promotional flyers and details at the beginning of the year, starting around Black History Month. But it's a chance that, the NTA 1970 Prison Rights Memorial is usually July 24th, the weekend when Eddie Ellis transition. So it's a chance that we launched the Kibaka Institute during the memorial of the 1970 Prison Rights Movement. We got 2 books coming out related to the non-traditional approach to human and healing justice and the Kibaka, Alice, and Luqmon Institute. One book is called The Legacy Tours. One book is on the legacy tours that H.O.L.L.A been doing from our non-traditional approach on how to heal historical trauma. And this is some of the scholarship that's going to be a part of this kind of community-specific institution. And we also working on a book about the non-traditional approach over the last 60 years and going forward. So these books and these informations and this scholarship is also going to be part of the website, part of the institution, and part of the teachings that are embedded in the trainings in the institution. What I want to say in closing is that, we was talking to our resurrection elder, Kishaka, and he reminded us that the NTA is a position of struggle, right? And it's about movement, it's about struggle, it's about resurrection, it's about applying that struggle, to the institutions, and through that applying that struggle, seeing your relationship, what's your predicament, what's your people's predicament, historical predicament with that institution. Secondly, the NTA is a political and cultural approach, right? It's not just political or what's your analysis, but it's a cultural approach about how you build family, how you relate to your neighborhood. The NTA is unique because it inspires people. I don't know, Black God want to close by saying a couple of words with Dr. Green, Alice, Luqmon, but these people, not only did they did a lot of work, but they work inspired people. It motivate people to do better, to want to give like how they gave to me, right? It's that spirit work I'm talking about. To help people pull razors out their mouth, right? And want to sit in class and start studying, right? It's a unique quality to the NTA that is about inspiring people to grow, to struggle, right? To study, to be better. What I will close with by saying is that NTA is about power, right? It's about how do we get community power? How do we get Black power, right? And how do we develop a cultural connection and a cultural continuity, right? An institutional memory, right? That connect us to our movements of Black people all throughout this country and throughout the world, right? And do that in a powerful way. So Black God, you want to close with any final words, particularly about Eddie, Larry, and Dr. Green to wrap us up? But Isaac also got to go, so we got a couple of minutes to to get that in.
Nah, I ain't gonna take up too much of Big Isaac's time. I just want to add that, like, if we understand the integrity of those three people, we'll understand the need for us to listen to what they had to say and listen to what they have left before us with the non-traditional approach. And in the understanding that language, understanding that love and that analysis, then you could begin to understand who they was. You know what I'm saying? You really begin to love them. And they always love the youth. So it's always have to be youth centered. Like, they love the youth. Luqmon started the Liberation Study Group centered on the youth. Dr. Green, Center for Law and Justice, even to today, she's reaching into the college. All she got working for her is youth. She's centered toward the youth. Eddie Ellis, Resurrection Study Group, youth. This is the youth, understanding that we need to build our youth and give them this Black liberation lineage, let them understand healing, justice, at early ages. So with that, I'm going to let Isaac go. I love y'all.
Thank y'all, everybody, for tuning in. This is our last web series. Look out for the next web series to come. Once again, share the live. And what's the call?
Free them all.
What's the call?
Free them all.
Free Rev Joy Powell. Free the land. Resurrect.
Same shit, different day.
I'm on that shit too.
Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. Na na na.
I'm on that shit too.
Same shit, different day. Na 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 na. Same shit, different day. Na na na.
I'm on that shit too.
Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day.
I'm on that shit too.
Same shit, different day. Na 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 na. Same shit, different day. Na na na.
I'm on that shit too.
Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day.
I'm on that shit too. Reside in places other people gon' through shit too. We young and kids would die at night because that shit's cruel. Men, they don't hang and they don't bang me cause that shit's cool. Dreams evaporate, let me elaborate. Since birthday giving me shit food. Sexualized 3/4 of a man and put me in a grill of shit zoo. Told me pain is how you gain, how the whole world not against you. Cause everything you touch you colonize. I ain't fucking with those dollar signs. But a heavy heart with a hollow mind. Pass me the torch, I gon' call it down. Universe said it's our time. Line says while I'm blowing haze. That's how we empower minds. Cointel trying to have a snitching. Trying to know all about the mission. But it's death before we drop a dime. I'm on that shit too.
Same shit, different day, na 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 na. Same shit, different day, na na na.
I'm on that shit too.
Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day.
I'm on that shit too.
Same shit, different day, na 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 na. Same shit, different day, na na na.
I'm on that shit too.
Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day.
I guess the D's on that shit too, cause black people dying, it's not an issue. It's never a problem to them, cause they don't want that shot, that pistol, it's a missile. Cause when you kill one, that shit ripples. They don't understand the shit that we already been through. It went from slavery to being someone free. Now all they doing is modifying shit into modern day slavery. It's all a scheme. I remember Martin had a dream that one day this nation will rise up and live out its highest dream. That's what I believe. But it's 2018 and all I fucking see is our people locked up physically and mentally. That's Donald dreams. And every day I pray that somebody I love don't end up 6 feet under me. So I guess I'm on that shit too.
Same shit, different day, na 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 na. Same shit, different day, na na na.
that shit too.
Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day.
I'm on that shit too.
Same shit, different day, na 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 na. Same shit, different day, na na na.
I'm on that shit too.
Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day.
I'm on that shit too. Words out in places other people gon' through shit too. What grandma, uncle, sister, cousins flip that brick too. Or maybe have to cause the will survive is sick too. Plague of the 80s, mama even smoked that shit too. Had all her life to heal from, I know she ain't meant to. A 5% queen with 4 kids paying rent too. Ride for your rollie while you riding in your rent too. Just so those babies could get checkers for they dent too. This street shit meant to. Cause nobody out here in these streets to defend you. Cause the whole world been on that shit to infuse you with that sick news. Playing with this sick blues, cause I've been on that shit too.
Same shit, different day, na 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 na. Same shit, different day, na na na.
I'm on that shit too.
Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day.
I'm on that shit too.
Same shit, different day, na 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 na. Same shit, different day, na na na.
I'm on that shit too.
Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day.
Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day. Same shit, different day.